Welcome back, everybody, to Same But Different, the talk show that nobody asked for, but we're here doing it anyway, where we talk movies, entertainment, TV, whatever we want, every single week, all of the time. My name is Brody, and I am joined by...
Derek.
I literally, to this day, still don't know what way to point when I'm introducing you. I don't know if you noticed the first one I ever edited, I flipped my camera because I pointed the wrong way, so I flipped it real quick and flipped it back.
Oh, I did not notice this.
That's
Whoa.
because I'm an editing chief.
Secret trivia. Nice.
How you doing, Derek?
I'm a little hungry, so excuse if you hear my tummy grumbling.
If your stomach grumbles real loud, can you just like put it up to the mic?
If it starts going, yeah.
Just thrust it toward my camera to do that. That looked real weird. So this week we were, I don't want to say tasked, that seems like a bad word. We were challenged, sounds worse.
It was a challenge, sure.
Challenged to watch the movie Shortbus. It is notorious in all these articles I've been reading online as being probably like one of the most gratuitous sexual movies out there. It came up on like every list I looked at.
Again, it's one of these movies where when we went to Blockbuster, I would see it on the shelf and be like, Shortbus. That means something else to me at this age, but yeah, I had no idea what it was about whatsoever.
I said, Mom, can I rent this? And she reads the back and just like takes you home without getting a balloon.
You're grounded for even asking.
Yeah, you don't get a balloon or popcorn. I love those Blockbuster balloons, man. Like not even helium, just stuck on a stick so they didn't go down.
Yes, they were so good.
Oh, anyway, so we are doing Shortbus because this month is Pride Month for us. We are celebrating queer directors and queer actors in movies. This one was directed by John Cameron Mitchell, who starred in Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which we watched on this show May last year. I was excited because I really liked their performance in that. So to see what they were going to do behind the camera was intriguing to me. And now I know. We'll leave that for after because we're going to give Derek the reins on giving this review first.
I'm going first?
You're going first.
Oh, no, the pressure. It's too much.
Yeah, I know. And this movie, it means a lot to us, so you better tread lightly.
Okay. It is honestly, truthfully, very hard to figure out where to start. Everything that I was told about the movie wasn't necessarily true. Yes, people were saying, "Whoa, be prepared. It's crazy. It's messed up." Stuff like that. I wouldn't say messed up. Like that's kind of like putting it into a little box that it doesn't deserve to be in. I don't think it's messed up per se. It's definitely a venture from normalcy as far as movies that you're used to watching. I mean, unless exclusively you watch porn. And I definitely wasn't expecting to come out of this experience having now witnessed somebody ejaculate on their own face. That's something.
That's it. End of review.
If anything, watch the movie for that, just to say you've seen it. Because that's something that I never thought I would see, to be honest. And that's very much the first 10 minutes of the movie. That's one thing I'll give this movie. Within the first 10 minutes, you know what you're in for. You see that. You see a married couple go on a sexcapade of several different crazy Kama Sutra positions. You see dominatrix and her sub. You're given the blueprint for what you're definitely going to see in the next hour and a half to 2 hours. All unsimulated, which is crazy. Definitely our artistic choice to make it unsimulated, to just give you a more realistic look at what sex is, because most of us are familiar with what sex is because we experience it in our daily lives. However, the content we consume tells us that sex is something different all the time, whether it be in Hollywood movies or porn. It's entirely different from what it is in real life, generally speaking.
You also said in our daily lives, like a married person. Daily?
No, I mean, one day me, next day the other person. I don't know. Well, you know what I mean, like in a general sort of way. I'm getting flushed.
How do you think I felt watching this movie? Remember last week when I said I'd turn it down during sex scenes? Yeah. I watched this movie at volume 3 the whole time.
You turn the volume up, turn on subtitles.
That's exactly what I did.
And sex is definitely at the forefront of this movie, but it comes at you from two different levels. One, Obviously, the explicit physicality of the sex. You're shown unsimulated penetration, oral sex, and everything of the like. The second level it comes at you is...
I'm laughing on this side because you keep saying it comes at you.
Oh my god, is this what this review is going to be about? Is this what it's going to be like?
I'm 9.
Sex in this movie is also used as a way to describe and promote emotional and psychological states of mind within these characters. The sex is used as a tool to amplify the emotional journey that the characters are going on. Even though I said right off the hop that the first thing I remember, I guess, is the ejaculation on their face. Still, by the end of the movie, what's left with you is the emotional journey that these characters have gone on, and not all of the sex that happened. It was more than just like flesh and bodies. It was mind and soul as well by the end of the movie, which I appreciated. Sex and relationships aren't perfect. They're messy. They're unorganized. I appreciated this movie for depicting that. And also, I want to say that the representation and advocacy for sex-positive storytelling in this movie is refreshing as well. Because there's a lot of times in movies we get sex is bad, or sex is violent, or sex is shameful, and the way they depicted it in this movie was just very sex positive, and I'm all for that, so it was good that way too. The last good thing I have to say about it is that it was kind of funny. There were exchanges between characters that actually made me laugh. A midpoint for me, not necessarily bad, not necessarily good. The acting was like meh. The bad. There is no plot. There's zero plot to this movie. The plot was divvied up and given to each individual character as a chunk, saying, here's a little bit of plot for you, here's a little bit of plot for you. There wasn't a through line plot for the movie, and you know how I like my through line storylines. Overall, it just wasn't a plot. At the very least, it was a messy one. I would have loved to see it as a collection of shorts or like an anthology rather than a feature-length film. I think it would have worked a lot better that way.
That would have been cool.
The movie was very pretentious and very tedious. The dialogue was often highbrow, philosophical, introspective, highly intelligent types of dialogue, which, when put against the realistic depiction of the characters, worked against the film. Like, it just didn't make sense for them to be talking the way that they did in dialogue. And because of that, it made the movie feel a little long. But for all the realism that he put into the sex, he drained the realism from the dialogue, in my opinion. Editing was inconsistent. There were multiple times throughout the movie where the editing was choppy and jump cutty, which I understand is an artistic choice, or maybe it's even a choice to cut down on time and try and make it shorter. There is no reason why at one point we see him sitting on the couch at the beginning in the doctor's office, or the psychiatrist's office, and then she says, hey, can you leave the room? And then cut, he's disappeared from the couch. You don't even see him like get up and leave. It's weird.
That was pretty jarring, wasn't it?
I understand jump cuts and funky editing being a motivating thing in the story or to a character or something, a character's mindset, but it wasn't apparent in this at all, and the editing just seemed sloppy and lazy. And then the final thing that really irked me is the ending, when one of the main characters, the homosexual couple, he tries to kill himself unsuccessfully, is saved by somebody else. Then he decides to have sex with that person who saved him, which is right across the road from where he lives. So he can look into his apartment and see his partner, and they look at each other and they have this nod of understanding, which to me felt like, okay, we understand that this isn't going to work out. We're going to move on.
I think that one was explained in an earlier conversation between them, where the guy who was watching his partner have sex with another man said to him, if you find someone but I don't, that's fine. But if I find someone and you don't, I can't live with that, or something like that. I think in that scene, he was just happy that, I don't think they were ending their relationship. I think he was happy that his boyfriend, husband, partner found someone to do that with.
I did not see it that way. I also saw it in a way that, like, for all the things that just happened, they're not acknowledging any of it, which is kind of weird to me. And then the next scene, everybody goes to Shortbus and is laughing, has smiles on their face, and they fuck each other. It was just so weird to leave that unresolved and just like, let's skip to the happy ending, you know? I had the same amount of good as I did bad as far as like point form on my notes here, and I don't think one entirely outweighs the other for me. So I'm giving this middle of the road 5 out of 10. I don't feel like I wasted my time. I feel like I watched a passion project. I feel like I watched it and this
movie right here is a prime example of why we like to do this show. Whether we liked this movie or not, I'm not saying about my review at all. I never in a million trillion years would have sat down and watched this movie. If this ever comes up in conversation, I've seen it. That being said, I was not the target audience for this movie.
Fair enough.
This is actually very, very same but different. That's just how we absorbed it. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said. You just saw it differently than I did. All of these characters were making their entire personality and life about sex. It's just not that important. Like, don't get me wrong, sex is important, but it should not be the forefront of your personality. Like them blaming their drive and stuff because, like, you can't have sex with your husband, but maybe that's because you're not happy with your husband. Like maybe you don't love him because he's not right for you, and it's not anything to do with the fact that he can't fuck you how you want. Yeah, happiness and love are not a result of sex, is what I'm trying to say, and everybody in this movie seemed to think that it was.
Not that I disagree with you for my personal life and a lot of people that I know, but there are many people out there who believe that sex and happiness are very much linked. Maybe we're just getting a peek into the lives of people that just definitely rely on sex being a heavy part of the relationship.
Don't get me wrong, that's fine. Like that's why I started with I was not the target audience. These are just my opinions, I suppose. But even with that aside, if sex is your whole personality, if you do need it to be happy, the logic of I can't have an orgasm, but I've tried nothing to fix it, so I guess my life is ruined, is dumb. She's done nothing to try to do it. She just complains about it. I've only been with one man. I've never tried this. I've never tried that. I've never talked about it. Like, just do so. I would say this is probably the most nudity I've ever seen in a movie.
I've seen movies come close to showing penetration, but I've never, ever seen a movie show oral sex before.
I'm trying to think. I mean, like, I've seen it on, like, Bananas as a joke.
No, I mean, like, dick in the mouth. Or mouth onto vagina. Like, I've never seen that.
No, I can't think of one off the top of my head either, so who knows? Who knows? I will say that technically, I think this movie was pretty well done. There was a lot of, like you said, pretentiousness, I suppose. It was very, very indie. It was artistic. The soundtrack was nice. I think the cinematography was, they made some interesting choices that some of them worked, some of them didn't, but it was an experimental movie. I do give it credit for that. I would argue that the conversations away from the main plot were my favorite part of the movie. Anytime you just got like face-to-face conversations, if they got a little existential or philosophical, that's the only time I was interested.
Well, that's because you've already thrown out the idea of liking the main plot of the movie.
Probably. Yeah, so I could just treat each of those little conversations as a cool little sidebar. The acting was touch and go, but some of the chemistry was very good, and I want to give a huge shout out to the Mayor of New York storyline. That conversation was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Agreed on that.
It was just like a 3-minute little chat that you got with him, but he's this old sweet man talking about how he was the mayor and he was closeted when he was mayor and he couldn't do enough. It was wonderful. That was a fantastic scene. Honestly, to me, there was just absolutely no relatable narrative. There was no plot. It kind of felt sloppy. Mm-hmm. And the nudity, the unsimulated sex, it doesn't add anything to the movie, in my opinion. Like, gratuitous stuff like this, I read what the director said, and I see what they were going for, and I'm not everybody. I'm just Brody. But to me, you don't need all that. You just don't. Didn't much enjoy it. There were certainly some good bits that shone through, but overall, I didn't think this was a very good movie. I gave it a 3 out of 10. I read a lot of glowing 10 out of 10 reviews, and I get it. I'm not bashing this movie at all. I'm not saying this was bad the same way Battlefield Earth was. I'm saying I didn't like this. All right, so we will move on to our top 5 of the week. And if you've seen Shortbus, you're going to understand why this one was hard for us, because we like to do our top 5 relating to the movie we just watched. This movie doesn't have, like, what? So we struggled a bit. So we decided to do something a little bit different, a little bit weird, and we're gonna do our top 5 movies with just like a lot of nudity in them. And that can't be one scene like we tossed around forgetting Sarah Marshall, because that's a hilarious nude scene, but that is one penis at the beginning of the movie. That's not enough. We need a lot.
I think there's one on my list that may not constitute as a lot, but we'll get there.
Let's hear it, Derek.
Yeah, me first. Top 5 movies with lots of nudity. Number 5. And this is the one that came to my head almost immediately. Piranha 3D. So much nudity, and in a comedy / horror kind of setting, it's always just a fun time, albeit a little misogynistic. But we do get a chewed off penis at the end to make up for all of that.
Sorry for the misogyny.
Number 4. It's a movie called, I don't know if you've seen this. It's called Into the Void, a Gaspar Noé film.
Yeah, isn't that the one where you see sex from inside the vagina?
Correct, and that's why it makes the list.
Is that nudity? The science class.
That counts. Number 3. Now this is the movie that doesn't have a lot of nudity in it. However, it has a scene in it that was defining for my pubescent life, Taking Lives.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah.
Angelina Jolie, sex scene. First time I've ever seen her in something like that. And it just blew my mind as a 14, 15-year-old kid. Number 2. This is a movie that I had to watch twice because the first time I didn't like it. Second time I liked it. And the more you think about it, the more you like it. Shame.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't like Shame, but I get it.
Yeah, lots of nudity and lots of sexual addict type of story stuff. So that makes the list. Number 1, you probably already know what it is. You mentioned it earlier. Nymphomaniac, part 1 or 2, or both. Take your pick. But
Really?
it's number 1. It's a fucking good movie. It is a well-made movie with great characters, great direction, great cinematography. It's a very good movie. Part 1 and 2.
I want you to know I'm shaking my head like you're a madman. I've never seen it, but I'm honestly just saying you're crazy right now with my face.
You got to see it before you can judge.
I don't really want to at all. The thing is, top 5, lots of nudity in movie. Your number 1 doesn't make me think, oh, that's a good movie, I should watch it, you know?
Besides Piranha 3D, I actually tried to put movies on here that are actually like good movies too, because it should be my top 5 favorite movies that have a lot of nudity. You know what I mean? You should watch it.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
You want to watch it together?
Nah, not a chance.
Top 5 movies with just lots of nudity in them. Number 5, Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
Nice. I knew that was going to be on there.
Well, the thing is, and this, like another one on my list, just what? You just didn't see it coming, and how they portrayed it, and all bottomless and so close up, and the fact that this movie was released as PG in my local hometown, so I saw this way too young and did not expect this. Number 4, and this is the only one where I would argue maybe you could consider not a lot of nudity, Love Actually.
Oh, so specifically the Martin Short part.
Yeah, I was waiting to. Yeah, exactly. I love that little Martin Short storyline. It's one of the top ones in that movie, I think. And you just a lot of boobies. Number 3, and this one's gonna come out of left field for you probably. Wanderlust. I uproariously laughed at a colony of 80-year-old. Just a mob of them running in slow motion, all naked, jiggling around. Oh my God. Number 2, and I only watched this movie for the first time maybe last year. I don't think you've ever seen it, or we've never talked about it. But number 2 is Handmaiden.
No, I haven't even heard of it.
It's a very, very, very good movie. I'm surprised I like it because it is quite gratuitous. Sexually. But it's by Park Chan-wook, who did Oldboy. But it's about a young girl who lives with I wish I remembered, like an empress or something like that. But is only living with her to like steal her fortune and get her sent to jail. Feelings and sexy times start happening, and it's all just like a mind fuck of who can come out on top. It's quite good. And number 1, again, this one does not have the most of the nudities on my list or anything, but I would argue it's easily the best movie on my list, and it's Requiem for a Dream. A really, really weird top 5, but you should do it too, because it was funny to think of what kind of nude scenes just stick to your brain, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to play along, please give us your top 5 down below. That would be a blast for us to see.
No shame here. Please come in with open arms and open eyes and open minds and just go buck wild with your choices.
Yeah, that was a very euphemism-filled sentence. If your favorite movie's Zombie Strippers with Jenna Jameson, let us know.
Hey, Robert Englund's in that movie.
Oh, it must be good. He only does good stuff.
That's
since
correct.
Freddy.
You're not wrong.
Okay. All right, and with that, we move on to the finale of our show. The fabled Hat of Destiny! Come on, Derek. There's 2 there. Get off my finger! Okay. It is one of yours.
Okay.
Bombshell, baby!
Bombshell. All right.
Bombshell!
Nice. This one I chose because Kate McKinnon is in it, who is an openly gay woman, and she stars as a closeted gay woman in the movie.
Which is very interesting to think that Kate McKinnon stars in a movie with Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, and Margot Robbie. Like, that's bizarre.
Yeah, and she stays closeted. That's bizarre.
So, Bombshell, quick synopsis for you. A group of women take on Fox News head Roger Ailes and the toxic atmosphere he presided over at the network. Everybody, thank you so much for watching our show. If you're here every week or if you're here just now for the first time, we love you. We appreciate it. Please make sure you like, you follow, you subscribe, you share it with your friends because we want to keep this going. We have a blast doing this. We got a lot of stuff for you. We got some new news we're about to record. Even though it comes out before this, so that's confusing. It's just always a blast. I have so much fun doing this with you, Derek.
Always a pleasure. Love watching movies. Hope we can do this forever. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Stay tuned and pinch your grandmas.
No, that's a thing. No.
Yeah, I'm a fiend. Sex or bust.